Motors, Static Scent, Bounty Fresh, and Max's Fried Chicken, to name a few. Honestly, just being mentioned together with these companies is already an overwhelming experience in itself. This is the picture that was taken during the awarding of the PLDT MVP Bossing Awards. So Aryan and I was there at the middle. Okay, so my story started when I was trying to enroll in college at UP Diliman. So when I was in 4th year high school, I started actually reading programming books, specifically Turbo Pascal. That was in 1996, 1997. After being amazed at what computer languages can do with computers, and also having cousins taking up compliance who actually gave me the books. But ironically, I did not take computer science in college, even with my huge interest in programming and also in mathematics. But instead, I took up mechanical engineering just because I have an uncle who was a successful engineer abroad. He's of a good and high-paying job if I graduated with a mechanical engineering degree. That good and high-paying job, one in college, I was taking up ME, although during break periods, I was in the library reading about programming, and when at home, I was mostly in front of the computer practicing and improving my programming skills. Since mechanical engineering was really not my interest, I also ended up joining a student organization to which I focused much of my time. Actually, I was no longer attending much of my subjects and instead focused on running the organization. I literally had sleepless nights for the organization rather than reviewing for exams. But although my full interest was not into mechanical engineering, ME or engineering in general taught me to become a problem solver. The analytical skills that I possess now in dealing with problems are byproducts of my engineering roots. So basically, it really helped me in that part. So looking back at my experiences during college, I have the following lessons that I can share based on my experience. First, that money as a motivation is fine because in fact, I was able to complete my mechanical engineering course with the motivation that I can have a good and high-paying job after college. But passion on what you are doing can result to even greater things. Because at the same time that I graduated from ME, I also had the programming skills necessary to get an entry level as a developer. So during that time, I was even helping Aryan in her computer science projects and thesis, all because of my interest and push to learn programming. Second, the things that I learned from a student organization in college were worth more than the sum of everything that I learned in classroom looking at where I am now. So leading that organization was the best single thing that happened to me in college. And it was like taking an on-the-job training for entrepreneurship. So after college, let us talk about my dream job. So as a kid, I always dream of creating or inventing something that many people will use. So in short, invited to become an instructor at the Department of Mechanical Engineering in UP after graduation. I only stayed for one, was that appealing to me. So I ended up becoming a biomechanical engineer, one of less than 10 biomechanical engineers here in the Philippines. And basically what is a biomechanical engineer? So the responsibility requires research and development that involves designing and creating what you call prostheses and instruments used during orthopedic surgeries. So that's the reason why nandiyan si RoboCop. Looking at it closely, that was my dream job, because in that job, I would have the chance to invent or create something. And technically, it was a privilege to be part of a rare group of engineers in the country, with most of them having patents applied in their names. So most of my co-engineers in that company have patented something. As an engineer, patenting something was one of the holy grails of the profession. Yet, my passion was really in programming, and most of my free time at work, I was creating websites for friends and other groups for free. I was creating websites instead of perfecting the new tool that one day might be patented under my name. So I actually sacrificed the chance of patenting something, but instead I chose to create websites at my free time at work. And to top it off, my boss actually caught me creating a website for our high school. At the time, he was going to ask why the design of a new tool that I should have submitted the day before was still not in his desk. At that point that he caught me, he was the one who answered his own question. So after a week that my boss caught me doing something else, I resigned from what's supposed to be my dream job. And finally, I was able to accept that programming was what I was meant to do. So what are the lessons I learned from what's supposed to be my dream job? First, it won't be your dream job if your passion is not aligned with it. How can it be your dream job if you do not love what you're doing? So basically, mechanical engineering is really not my interest. So it cannot be my dream job. Second, accepting that you are in the wrong field is a tough pill to swallow, because you are going to admit that you made the wrong decision all these years. In my case, 4.5 years in college, 1 year teaching, and 7 months in my dream job meant that I wasted more than 6 years of my life, and I have to start all over again. Sometimes we have this tendency to still try to make things work. Yet there will be times that the best thing to do is just to admit that we made a mistake and actually move on. So in 2003, I made a very difficult decision to shift from engineering to the IT industry. And I thought it would be very easy, given that I was actively improving my skills in programming. But changing the career was really tough because of two things. First, I have to start at an entry position. Next, I cannot even get a job because I was a mechanical engineer. So I know how to code and relatively good at it, but I have not much to prove it other than my skills, which the company to do not want to take a risk of hiring. So it was a very difficult thing for a mechanical engineer to find a programming job. I was faced with tough realities trying to change career. So first, in any career or industry, you always have to start at the bottom and move your way up. You can be lucky to be able to take some shortcuts sometimes, but I believe that these shortcuts can hurt you in the long run. Next, it is always easy to say that you are good at something, but it is difficult to prove it, especially if you do not have the background or experience to show. And last, the difficulty of changing industry should not be a big hurdle that you cannot surpass. I was a mechanical engineer and I coded what ended up becoming the top local site in the Philippines. Also, our technical analyst in Sulit now, who replaced me as the top hacker of our website, was an agricultural engineering graduate. So it means being in a different industry than what you take in college does not mean that you cannot be successful. So having difficulty in getting a programming job, I became a software test engineer at Azius Philippines, which is a CMMI Level 5 company, which created applications for the Hong Kong government. So CMMI is like the ISO for software companies, and having the highest level of 5 means that the company already have set of defined, documented, and managed processes. And already they are in the status where they are already optimizing the processes. So quality assurance or testing involves a different type of mindset from developers. So developers basically think how to create and accomplish a task given a set of requirements, while testers or software test engineers think how it can fail. So you can see the difference in the mindset. In my case, working as a test engineer with knowledge of programming, I started to develop this uncanny ability to predict where and how a software can fail. Develop. I had this infamous status among developers that it can affect your appraisal. As a developer, it will be assigned as your tester. So, natatakot sila actually. And after 1 year, I was already conducting the 1-month training for new hires about software testing. And after 1.5 years working at Azius, I was already a lead tester of a major project. I also became heavily involved in setting up and improving development process within the company. So the time I spent in Azius actually taught me a lot of things that helped me in starting Sulit.com.ph. First, software testing improved my development skills a lot as I became more aware on how my application can fail. Software testing made me a better developer producing high-quality applications. Also in Azius, I learned a lot about the different development processes, and I experienced firsthand how a process should adjust of your team and not the other way around. In this way, the process becomes a tool to help improve the work of the team and increase their efficiency rather than becoming a hindrance. So what happened to the development side of myself? So in 2003, while working with Azius, I started playing with PHPBB, a very popular open source forum application during that time. It's still available now, but not as popular as before. So this open source application became my test bed where I pour out most of my frustration of not being able to work as a developer. So I started creating simple modifications and templates and submitted it to be used for free by the community. By 2004, my modifications became bigger projects. I created a portal modification called IM Portal for PHPBB, which was a content management system or CMS like Mambo or Joomla being powered by the PHPBB forum engine. During the same year, I also created IntegraMod project, which was a flavor of PHPBB with all the best modifications already installed, with IM Portal as the main feature. The modifications that I created actually were downloaded and used thousands of times. And it actually elevated my status in the PHBBB community as one of the more experienced modification developer. So basically, I competed with top PHPBB mod developers for the best portal modification available for the entire span that I was doing 2 projects. I surrendered the development of these projects to the community in 2006. So there were a lot of good lessons that I learned becoming an open source developer. So first, one way to showcase your skills or work is to do something for free. In case of development, open source development, good. This was the same line of thinking that I had when we released solid.com.ph as a free classified site. Next, joining an open source community of developers is a way to improve your skills. Imagine getting hundreds or even thousands of users testing your application for you and also requesting more challenging but beneficial features. So joining open source communities is a good on-the-job training for those who wanted to become a developer. Next, competition is healthy. It kept me outdoing myself a lot of times, even for something being offered that was free. Again, the same thinking was also very important when we started solid.com.ph. And last, there is a lot of high-quality open source applications out there that you can literally run on internet operations using open source software. This definitely helped us start Solid without the needs of any funding. So in late 2003, I started receiving simple development projects for PHPBB due to the simple mods that I released in the community. It was actually really exciting to start getting paid for them because it was just my hobby during that time. When I released IM Portal and Integra Mod projects, I started to receive bigger development tasks from installing the modifications to converting vanilla PHPBB installation to either IM Portal or Integra Mod. And I receive payment fees for the projects that I'm working on. Imagine I'm working on for my own project, but other people were paying me just to create additional features. So during those times, I was a software test engineer during the day and a developer during the night. It was the best of both worlds as I was also enjoying being a test engineer. Referrals from previous projects came and projects became full-blown websites that I started earning up to more than 3 times of the salary of my day job. It was a huge fulfillment actually, being able to earn that much by doing something that you love doing, something that that I was ready to do for free. So during this period, I learned the following things. First, previous work is very important for freelance gigs to create your portfolio. The more projects that I completed, the more I could show potential clients of what I have already done. And in the end, gets me more clients, gets me a bigger portfolio. So next is that one of the best way to enhance your development portfolio is by releasing or joining an open source project. And as a bonus, there is no problem sending your code to potential clients because it's not owned by your other clients. So basically, if you're working on commercial projects, you cannot send the code that you did from for one client to another client because of copyright issues. For open source project, it's not a problem. So your clients can have a chance to see your actual code. Next, referral from previous projects is a way to increase your client base. It is easier to close projects actually with a testimonial from a previous client. And last, freelancing is not just about development skills. Freelancing also requires marketing, time management, debuting skills. So moving on, in 2005, I came across this book titled Rich Dad by Robert. It's the book was displayed in the image at the right. It was a controversial book, and it actually received mixed reviews online. The book had its merits, but it also had its flaws. But one thing for sure, that book changed my thinking ever since. I actually did not take the stories and samples in the book literally, but it opened my mind to new possibilities. So in a bold and very risky move, I resigned from my job in ACES Philippines a few weeks after completing the book. So during that time, I was completely convinced that I could do it on my own because I have my freelancing gigs. And the upside was that I could focus more on my freelance projects, which meant that I would have the ability of earning more. And besides, those side projects were already affecting the quality of my work in my day job. So from time to time, I would be filing a sick leave just because I didn't have enough sleep working on a project that I did early in the morning. This important lesson from I have signing from my day job. First, the fact that I had my freelancing gigs on the sidelines that were earning more than my day job made the decision easier to resign from my day job. It might be a tougher decision if that was not the case. Next, sometimes the best decision that you can have is the most unpopular one. I told a number of people about my plans that I'm going to resign from my day job. So from my parents to my relatives to my friends, and surprisingly, it was only Anne who was more entrepreneurial and more of a risk. She was the only one who agreed that I was making a good decision. And last, when your side projects started to affect your performance at your day job, be a professional and choose one and drop the other. You owe it to your employer who gave you the job that you are performing as expected from you. It will be unfair if you begin performing less just because of your side projects. Okay, and now comes to what I believe is the most surprising story in my presentation. I resigned. I actually continue to explore and read more about entrepreneurship, about passive investments while doing freelance work. And in 2006, an opportunity presented itself in the form of selling custom-made T-shirts. This was during the time that the member phase of Friendster, the then popular social network site in the Philippines, was exponentially growing here in the country. And Filipino internet users were crazy about friending anyone and sharing their email address to gain more friends. Remember you asking your friend to add you at Friendster? So the idea was to sell T-shirts with the email address of the user printed and the phrase "add mo ko ha." So actually asking anyone that can see your email address in the share to add you in Facebook. And of course, the Friendster logo. So knowing the fact that this project can only become big if I have blessings of Friendster to be able to use their logo and also become their official partner selling these custom t-shirts, I started drawing up the plans for the project. So after months of planning and putting the pieces together, I made my pitch to the country manager of Friendster. To cut the story short, and I was suddenly faced by a hard reality that first, I was just a newbie entrepreneur trying to partner to a company as big as Friendster. Well, what was I was thinking then? Number two, custom t-shirts were nowhere near my core skills or passion. I was given a second chance to return to Friendster after 2 months to provide whatever they are requiring. But this initial setback quickly resulted to a loss of my interest in the project. And number three, I did not have the capital to support the requirements of the business for my target market. So how can I produce 1,000 custom t-shirts a week and expect payments 2 months after, which was the request or the requirement of it. So this failed venture taught me these valuable lessons. First, passion and skills are very important for first-time entrepreneurs. Failures are normal actually in a startup. And without passion, it is possible that you will immediately lose interest to the project the first time that you will meet a major setback. Next, your startup capital must be able to support your pre-profit market. Just do the math. Next, you must do your homework before pitching your business. A good idea, and last, supporting it. So Friendster actually loved the idea, but I did not have a capable team to execute it. Okay, and at last, of course, the setting up of solid.com.ph. So in 2006, the success stories of Kevin Rose starting big, Mark Zuckerberg starting Facebook, gave inspiration to Aryan and I to create our own website. I was doing freelancing work, and from time to time, Aryan was helping me when I needed a good design for the project. And seeing how these young entrepreneurs in the US starting their own gave an idea to Aryan and I that maybe we could also do something similar. So ever since resigning from Azeus, I began porting my IM portal project to a standalone CMS and web framework without the requirement of the PHP forum engine. Aryan and I actually had difficulties thinking of what kind of website to create. Honestly, it was difficult to make a website just for the sake of making it. Fortunately, in May 2006, Aryan came up with the idea of a classifieds website as an experiment wherein we can set a number of categories and run the website and track the visit to each category. So the plan was to collect the data after some time and check which category the traffic, and then afterwards create a vertical site targeting that category. So basically, if the cars category was getting the most traffic, then we would create a web specifically for cars. So I started working on the website while doing freelance work and launched solid.com.ph on September 11, 2006. So as an experiment, Solid actually has had no marketing budget and no marketing plan in place. In its initial form, it was not meant to become a business. But by the end of November 2006, traffic started to increase across all categories, and we decided instead to target a certain vertical to convert this experiment to a full-blown online classified startup with Google AdSense as the revenue model. By August 2007, Sulit was profitable. Ramen profitable is a term coined actually by Paul Graham of Y Combinator, which meant that the company has enough cash flow to support the living expenses of the founders. And since in August 2007, Sulit was already, Arian resigned from her day job and helped maintain the website. In January 2008, we incorporated the company under the name Entrepreneurial Connections Enterprises Incorporated. So we were planning to create a number of websites. That was why we didn't call the company sulit.com.ph Incorporated. And in 2008, Sulit became the top local website in Alexa. So based from a fairly successful start of Sulit, the following are the lessons I learned when starting up an internet business. First, it is possible to create an internet startup without requiring too much capital. The initial investment was time and effort for Arian and I, plus 1,800 pesos for the domain, and another 600 pesos monthly for the hosting fees. So it's really not that much. Next, the formula for us is release fast, release often, get feedback, and iterate. Ever since I launched sulit.com.ph, I see to it that we improve the website based on the feedback and comments of the users, and fix bugs as fast as possible. Even until now, a new version of Sulit is being released at least once a week. Actually, when I launched Sulit in 2006, I was releasing a new version of Sulit at least once a day. So next, when requiring human input, crowdsource to scale. So from launching the website until we incorporated the company, only Arian and I were the ones managing the website. So 2 people maintaining a top local website seemed really impossible. But the truth was thousands of Sulit members helping us in managing the website. So we crowdsource most of the tasks that requires human input. Next, search engine optimization, or SEO, was and still is the best source of free organic traffic to the website. I literally spent months studying and implementing SEO for Sulit, and the effect of months of effort, as I can say, was all worth it. Next, bootstrapping. Possible. Funding is an option but not always required. Also, technical expertise is very important in an internet startup. There is a reason why it is entrepreneurship. And last advice, last lesson that I learned, get a co-founder for new entrepreneurs. You won't always be at your best during the course of starting up a business. And it will really be great if there is someone to compensate for the company during those times. It is also important that you find a co-founder that, number one, you can trust, and someone, and number two, someone that complements your own skills. In 2008, Sulit's profits continued to increase, and actually Arian and I were more than satisfied with the growth and performance of the business. And during the same year, to other companies and venture capitalists, and we received a number of investment offers, partnerships, and buyout offers. Yet, we were really not actively looking for any investments. The website was already profitable and growing. But late 2008 and early 2000, competitors backed by big established companies started to show serious interest in the local e-commerce market. And we suddenly found the need for funding to be able to protect our position most popular e-commerce in the country. In 2009, Sulit received a Series A funding from MIH. So what is MIH? MIH is actually the internet arm of Naspers, a big media company in South Africa. So MIH is a holder of numerous popular internet companies worldwide, including Tencent in China, Buscapé in Latin America, Allegro in Poland, and Mail.ru in Russia, just to name a few. So basically, here is a chart of the different companies working under MIH. At the left part is the internet group, wherein you can see in Southeast Asia. It includes Multiply, Sanook from Thailand, Sulit from the Philippines, of course, Lenlong from Malaysia, and BuzzCity from Singapore. So what did we learn raising first venture? So first, know what you really need from investors. It can either be funds, knowledge, network, advisors, human resources, or any combination of these items. Aside from funding, for Sulit, we're also looking for an entity who is knowledgeable in the industry and who can also serve as advisors when we grow the business. Next, grow the goal, know the goal of the investors investing to your company, and see to it that it is aligned to your personal goal. Actually, there are investors who will just flip companies, which means that they will buy or invest to the company for the purpose of selling them later. There are investors whose goal is actually long-term, keeping the company for a long time. And actually, there are investors whose target is IPO. So make it sure that your personal target is also the same target of your last and the most complex of all, valuation of a startup is actually an estimation of the future performance of the business. And in this case, you will have to work it out with the investor to come up with a model that you can use to estimate that future performance of your company. In the case of Sulit, it took us months to be able to agree with the model that we use. It's a very long process. Okay, so here are some questions that was sent to me by Janet. And so the first one is, what characterizes an entrepreneur? So basically, you should be a risk taker. So willingness to take huge risks in order to get huge returns. If you're afraid of taking risks, I'm really afraid maybe entrepreneurship is not for you. So second, you must be a leader. So the ability to make others follow your vision. If you cannot make your employees or anyone to work under you with the same vision, how do you think can you make users to believe in the value or in the promise, in the value that you're promising them? So third, entrepreneurs creates value. So the ability to create actual value from your idea. Well, that's the whole point, actually, out of nothing or out of different things. Entrepreneurs are also problem solvers. So the ability to provide solutions to the problems of many potential customers. So basically, if you see that there's an opportunity to solve an existing problem that no one has been giving a solution for to, so that's an opportunity for an entrepreneur. And of course, last, tolerance to failure. So honestly, entrepreneurs are bound to fail in order to succeed. So as much a part of being an entrepreneur as being successful. So advice to young people wanting to become technopreneurs. So why I believe in a saying that the risk of a person is inversely proportional to his age. What does it mean? It means that when you are young, you can take bigger risks because if you fail, you still have a lot of time to be able to catch up or to do something better than your previous venture. If you are somehow already old, most probably you already have a family, so the risk that you can take will be smaller. So my first advice is start now while you are young. Also, it requires technical expertise to become a technopreneur. So either you are a technical person or you find a technical co-founder. Just think of it. You're going to create a technology-related business, and nobody in the founders is a technical person. So it is bound to fail. Hiring a technical person, I believe, will not do good because that person that person has no skin in the business. So if you are not a technical person, I really suggest to get a co-founder. For those who cannot reach their 9-to-5 salary, actually the day job, so start small with a sideline project. Just like what I did with Azius, so I have my day job as a software test engineer, and in the sidelines, I am accepting development work. So basically, because my day job as a tester and my sideline is development, somehow hindi siya nakakasawa. So next, start with something that you're passionate about, something you love doing. This is really important for, I believe, for newbie or first-time entrepreneurs, because as I've said earlier, failures are part of being an entrepreneur, and doing the first. If you're not first time that you face a major setback, you might lose interest in what you're doing. But because if you love what you're doing, it doesn't matter if you fail or you succeed. As for you, as long as you're doing the thing, that is enough. So that's it. Think of what you're passionate about. And last, do not be afraid sharing your idea. So sometimes if you have this wonderful idea, you're afraid of telling others about it. Actually, from experience, the team executing the idea makes the difference. Of course, do not share your secrets. But if you're not going to share your idea, how are you going to find someone who can fund your business? How can you test if your idea is already good? So basically, there's more upside if you share your idea. And don't be afraid if others might, might steal your idea. As I've said, it's the team executing the idea that makes the difference. So how can I prepare to become a technopreneur? So I can just say for the internet space, because that's where sweet.com.ph is. So the internet is a fast-paced industry. you must be ready to continuously learn something new. Honestly, the thing that you know now most probably will be obsolete 6 months, a year later. So this industry requires continuous learning. So yeah, as the second item, be ready to learn how to filter information and read. Now, the problem with the internet is there's so much information out there and there's so much noise. Um, you just have to learn how you have to filter everything. In my case, I'm still using Google Reader, and so all the article I am subscribing in a lot of RSS feeds, and I'm just using the sort by magic sorting of Google Reader so that it recommend to me the best articles to read. Next, expect sleepless nights. It's part of being an entrepreneur. Next, as I've said earlier, be prepared for failures. You won't be, you won't know how to celebrate success if you don't know, if you don't experience failures. Next, learn to say no. There will be limitations on what we can do. If we, even we stay awake 24 hours a day, there will be limitations on our capabilities. So learning to say no is one technique, also to avoid burnout. Next, be ready to come out of your comfort zone and be ready to wear many hats. If you're a tech guy like myself, be prepared to also become a marketer, to become a support officer, maybe finance. So you really have to do so many things. Okay. So what to watch out for in running a startup? So these are some warnings that you might feel the tendency to do when you are doing a startup. So number one, the tendency to make quick money. When running sweet.com.ph, there were numerous times that we were attracted to do something because it can really generate quick money for us. For example, there are a lot of companies trying to buy our database. And we're talking about millions of pesos just for the database of Sulit. If we do that before, maybe Sulit is not what it is now because we just sold the database, so our members won't be happy about it. So next, partnerships. As much as you can, avoid it. Sometimes the idea of partnering, for example, with big companies like Smart, Globe, is something like a holy grail for startups. Just partner with them if it's really necessary to achieve your vision, because most of the time, partnerships are just distraction of your ultimate goal. Basically, do partnership once you are now in the status that you have extra resources, that you won't be distracted with these partnerships. Next, tendency to raise more money than what is really needed. I think this is normal to anyone. So if, for example, I need 50 million now, I think I have to raise 100 million. The problem of raising more money than what you need is you also have the tendency to spend more than what is necessary. So basically, you will just have you won't have discipline in maintaining a lean startup. Next, tendency to spend so much in marketing or the product is ready. I don't have problems spending in marketing just to introduce the product, but spending so much before the product is ready for prime time is just like wasting money. If the product is still in alpha or in beta, I think you have to try to keep the marketing budget intact. Spend the marketing budget once the product is already in a um, stable version. And last, tendency to copy and establish competitor. Well, from time to time, I'm seeing a number of startups with the same business model of Sulit. Well, the sad part there is they are just copying what we are doing. Well, basically, if you're just going to copy and establish um, competitor, what will be the reason for existing users of that competitor to transfer to you? So be sure that you have something new to offer the users to make it to make them move from the competition to your startup. Okay, so suggested resources. Well, I don't normally read books. I read articles online, so you can check this one. So on startups.com, readwriteweb.com. TechCrunch, somehow the quality of the articles are not that good as before, but you can still find good stories from TechCrunch. Paul Graham essays on the founder of Y Combinator, avc.com, the blog of a venture capitalist, Fred Wilson. So giga.com, techmeme.com, and hackernews.com. And that's it. Thanks guys. Janet.
Thank you so much, RJ, for that great presentation. So anyone, do you have any question for RJ at the moment? So please let us know so that we can ask those questions for you. So you can put your hand button if you like, if you want to ask your question using the microphone. Otherwise, just type your questions directly sa questions box and I will read it to RJ. So RJ, we have our first question. Does taking the risk also mean losing money?
Taking the risk also mean losing money. Not always. Sometimes, if you equate money, for example, time with money, so that might be the case. Because sometimes, if you take, for example, in our case, when we started Sulit.com.ph, the risk that we had is that part of our time that we should be allocating to our freelance gigs was being used to create Sulit.com.ph. So instead, in a sense, we are losing money from the potential earnings if we use that time. So yeah, I don't think it's. I think it's in the way that you perceive money. If time for you is money, so most probably you're losing it.
Okay. Our next question is from Mark. So when do we actually start in technopreneurship? You say that we should start as young as now. Mark is 22, but I only have less than a year's experience in web development. Where do you strike a balance between starting early and having enough technical expertise?
Well, actually, when I created Sulit.com.ph, I don't think I am already an entrepreneur. I became an entrepreneur during my journey on doing Sulit.com.ph, and I don't think I was at my prime when I started it. I was at my prime as a developer at the middle, maybe 2 to 3 years when I was creating Sulit.com.ph. So I don't think there's something that you have to balance. If you have an idea, start doing it now. Just remember, you just have to continuously improve your skills and also improve the product as you go along. So you will learn along the way. It's the journey itself.
Mm-hmm. From Joseph, what are you up to next?
Oh, I'm up to helping Digital Filipino to launch 100 new startups next year. So basically, that's it. So basically, I learned how to create a startup, how to raise funding and how to run a profitable company. So the next thing that I'm looking at is be able to share that knowledge to another startup.
Yay! I'm so happy hearing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Palakpakan tayo ako. Okay.
Nice to
All
hear,
right.
Janet. Okay.
Next question from Dark Knight. How did you find your previous freelance gigs?
It's fun, and I find it um, I find it to be a higher paying. But as I said earlier, actually, I think the problem with some of the freelancers now that I know is they can get enough project. So basically, freelancing requires more than your technical skills. You need how to know to market yourself. You need to know how to negotiate the price. So if you are not ready for those kind of skills, freelancing may not be good. It may for you. But in my case, I find it really fruitful, and I learned a lot of things. A lot of the characteristics or traits that I use towards creating Sulit is I learned from my freelancing gigs.
He also asked, where did you meet your clients?
Online. Most of them are online because I'm doing a what do you call this? An open source application. So most of them are just online. From time to time, I was getting local projects, but most of my freelance gigs was through online. As of now, I know there are popular, what they call this, freelance websites like odesk.com and freelance.com. During my time, it's not that big yet. But I believe I know a lot of freelance developers earning good money from Odesk and Elance.
Mm-hmm. Dark Knight sent a message to Mark. I think people's skills is more important than technical skills. How about you, RJ? What do you think on that?
People's skills are more, well, actually, I believe that those are complementary skills. That's why when I said you really need a co-founder when starting up a business. In my case, I honestly I don't have I'm poor at people's skills. I'm not a sociable person. But in just to complement it, it's Ariane who has those people's skills. So basically, I believe it's important in both are important in setting up a business. Yeah, that's it.
RJ, if people would like to learn more from you, they are asking, do you have a blog or where are you active posting that they can read more or maybe get some updates on based on the information that you share? I think you're more active sa Google Plus, right?
Yeah, I'm active at Google Plus. I'm active also in Facebook, but basically I don't normally share kasi